Welcome to Music She Missed, the podcast where I try to get my best friend caught up in some of the most popular songs and artists that impact our lives. I'm Allison.
I'm Rachel, and I missed all the music.
Yes, you did, Rachel.
Woo-hoo!
We are very rapidly approaching the end of this season.
I can't believe it. It's going so fast.
Tell me about it.
It's a lot of fun.
So let's make this intro go fast, because I want our audience and us to jump in to the second half as soon as possible.
Okay.
So to introduce this artist, I would like to ask you what your favorite sparkling beverage is.
Yes. Okay. So I like German Apfelschorle.
Apfelschorle? What?
Apfelschorle.
So
it's like apple juice, but sparkling, but it's more not cider.
It's not apple vine.
No.
Okay.
It's Apfelschorle. So.
Is it alcoholic?
No. It's non-alcoholic. I don't like alcohol.
I know. It's just less fun.
It makes
so it's
me
basically
red.
sparkling apple juice?
Yeah, but it's not cider, but it's a little tarty. It's sweet, but it's not too sweet.
Okay.
You can't it's very similar to like the white grape juice, but apple juice.
Okay, so sparkling apple juice.
Yes, and I haven't had it for years, and I would love if someone would bring it to me.
Interesting.
Why does sparkling something have anything to do with our next artist?
Because the next artist has a song called Champagne Supernova.
Champagne Supernova.
Yeah.
Supernova. Are we going to go listening to music in outer space?
No, we already did David Bowie, Rachel.
I have no idea.
So that does not give it away.
Okay, no.
Rad. Okay, well, you ready for the drum roll?
Here we go.
Drum roll. Oasis.
Oh, I think I have a CD of them.
That you've opened?
It may be opened. I don't know. Are they from the 90s?
They sure are.
Oh, okay. I don't remember if I like them or not.
Okay, well, because you didn't know that song, I'm just going to throw one other song at you, because reading a whole list of songs that you don't know seems pointless to me.
Yes.
The only other song that I think you might know is a song called Wonderwall. Does that sound familiar?
That was on the movie Clueless, right?
I don't know.
Maybe. I think I've heard that song, and I think I like it. I'm not sure, so I'm a little hesitant to say yeah.
Okay. Do you know anything else about Oasis by any chance?
Oasis. I believe the CD that I have is a blue background with a palm tree, one like little island.
You know, that's just, as far as I know, that's just what an oasis is.
Okay. Well, at least what's in my mind is the accurate thing, so that helps. And then plus I knew that it was a 90s music.
Yeah.
And then probably Clueless was in the 90s, so
Yeah.
that's at least narrowing it.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you've never heard of them before, and 10 being they are your favorite, where would you rate your current knowledge of the band Oasis?
I'm so unsure, so I'm guessing 3.54.
I think that is extremely high.
Okay.
For a band.
Okay, let's say 2 then.
I think 2. Know, just because you have a CD.
I know.
That probably is still in its streak wrap. Well, you've got some homework.
Yay.
I have a playlist for you of an hour's worth of Oasis songs. That you have to listen to every day for a week.
I can do it. Let's do it.
Before you do it,
this
playlist was lovingly curated by a former host, former guest host, and her husband.
What?
It's our friends Jenny and Nick.
Really? Are they both coming?
They're both going to come. It is Nick's favorite band, and he cannot wait to share everything about Oasis with you.
I'm so excited. Yay! I'm excited.
Okay. Rachel, I'll see you and Jenny and Nick in a week, and audience will be back with you in just a moment.
Can you join me in welcoming our super guest hosts? Hey, Jenny.
Hi.
Hey, Nick.
Hi.
Welcome. I'm so glad you guys are here.
Thanks for having us.
Yay.
So you spent the last week listening to a super famous band.
Yes.
Called Oasis.
I did.
How did it go?
It made me want to go get some mom jeans and maybe wear Tommy Hilfiger and roll down my windows and blare it really loud.
So you want to rock the 90s?
Yes.
The 90s are coming back. Yeah.
They are. In fashion and in life now. So. I had a fun week.
Okay, good. The 90s are coming to you for the first time, musically.
20 years later.
Right. Rachel, I do want to know, did you end up recognizing any of the songs once you started listening to the playlist?
Yes. So that Wonderwall
Okay.
song that you mentioned before, yes, I had heard it before. But I wasn't sure that at the time that was Oasis. Now
Yeah.
I know for sure that it is Oasis.
Okay. Cool. So, Nick, you are my Oasis person.
Yeah, I'm a fan from the,
From the beginning?
close to the beginning.
Okay.
Middle school is when I first listened to them.
Yeah.
Through Champagne Supernova was the song that I first heard and really enjoyed it. Thought it was weird, but and then Wonderwall, and pretty much been a fan since then.
Cool.
And Jenny, you support this fandom?
Support this fandom.
I feel like I have to. Like when he says he's a fan, I don't think it really comes across. He owns every album, every single they've made. He owns concert DVDs. He owns French posters from concerts.
Did you have you seen
Or
them?
art posters.
I saw them once. They played in, I saw them in Vegas, House of Blues.
Oh, cool.
So
Nice.
the love of Oasis goes pretty deep for Nick. Also, he just, he's a collector.
Yes.
And I feel like this is the band, and that this is what
there's
he
no
collects.
bands that I have.
Really?
Albums, like mostly all their stuff. I don't have like vinyl or anything, but
Yet.
So, you know Allison. And we've known Allison for quite some years. Now, she loves the Beatles. I mean, she has the Beatles posters, books, everything. So were you saying that your love of Oasis is equivalent to her love of Beatles?
probably not to the extreme with the knowledge, but
Or
yes.
romantic inclinations towards members.
I also know as a fact that Nick has not made his own plays up with the members
Okay.
of Oasis as masks. We can talk about that another day, though.
That's a bonus episode.
Like
Material.
Allison's obsession with the Beatles and making plays with them.
Exactly.
This brings up a really interesting point, though, because often the Beatles and Oasis are compared.
Why?
Well, first
Why?
of all,
They heavily influenced Oasis.
Really?
And as I grew up, my dad is a huge Beatles fan, so kind of naturally that I enjoyed Oasis. It's like the next generation of Beatles popularity.
Now that you're saying that, I'm like, click, click, click. Ah, lights are turning on. Yay.
and they're also both UK bands.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought they were American.
No.
They are.
Yeah.
Wait.
They're from Manchester.
So, Oasis, yes, there may not be an album cover with the palm tree on it,
No.
but Oasis, you know what it is, that's not the UK. They don't have palm trees there. Why would they name themselves Oasis?
That's a great question.
So, back in the very early 90s, 91, Liam and Noel,
Who are they?
they're the two main brothers in
Oh, they're brothers.
in Oasis, yes. And Noel was really the only one interested in music at all.
He's the songwriter, right?
He's the songwriter. And at the time he was a drum tech for a band called the Imperial Carpets. Liam...
Carpets.
The Imperial Carpets.
Imperial Carpets.
And Liam and him both had a lot of friends in a band that was just a local band called The Rain. And The Rain did not like their singer, so they invited Liam to come over and try singing with the band. So he did, and he worked. As I'm sure you've noticed, he has a very unique sound in his voice. But he said he would only join The Rain if they changed the name And one of the places that the Imperial Carpets played at, the place where his brother was a drum tech for, the band his brother was a drum tech for, had the name Oasis in the name of it. And it was on a poster hanging in their bedroom, and Liam saw it, and I think it just kind of clicked for him. There was a lot of other things locally in their lives that had the term Oasis in it, and they also kind of thought, like, they're kind of out there, you know, surrounded by the desert, this like tropical oasis, water. He liked the
rain versus the oasis.
Yeah, like
I
the
was reading
symbolism.
that and I was like, oh, okay.
Of like kind of being like the little lone bit of survival in this desert of nothing. So Liam and Noel were both, and their friends were all council flat kids, so they all kind of lived in housing as government housing. Mm-hmm. So I think the name Oasis was probably them thinking them against the world, them being different. I mean, how many bands did they know of that had come from nothing and made something of themselves? So I think Liam liked the way that Oasis painted him.
Maybe their lives at that time were just so where this music that they could kind of enter a new life and just kind of be away from that.
Well, I think, at the time, Noel wasn't part of the band. He was still being a drum tech for the other band. He really had no interest in joining this band. He didn't even know his brother could sing. Because Liam, even their mother said, like, that she had no idea Liam was even interested in music at all. It was always Noel who always had a notebook in his hand writing.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So Rachel, we got the location. We got the time. We got part of the guys in the band. Nick, can you give us a quick rundown of the other guys?
Yeah, so there's the brothers, and then
there's the brothers, and when there is Paul. Bonehead is his nickname.
Wait, rewind. What? Did he give this nickname to himself?
He's bald.
Oh, okay.
That makes
still
sense.
Bonehead. Okay.
Their other friend was also named Paul.
Oh.
Yeah, they had two Pauls in the group, and they had to
make a difference.
Yes.
And Bonehead was it.
Bonehead was it. And then the other Paul was Gigsley. Gwigsley.
So neither of them took the name Paul. They both created nicknames.
Yeah. So Paul Arthurs was Bonehead, and Paul McGuigan was Gwigsy.
And then Tony McCarroll was the drummer.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Something that I knew about Oasis but didn't really recognize the depth of until preparing for this episode was that in a lot of ways they're pretty much a UK group.
Yes.
In comparison, like hits here versus hits there.
Oh.
They are way, way, way more successful in the UK.
No wonder. My husband grew up in the UK.
No, everybody here still knows who Oasis is. I'm not
So
I'm not giving you a pass.
Because my husband, I was listening to them this week, and he's like, comes in out of his office, he's like, "You're doing Oasis this week," and I'm like, "How do you know this band?" He's like,
"No, everyone still knows."
Oh, okay.
So imagine that, and then multiply it.
Oh.
Yeah, Oasis was big in the States, but in the UK specifically, they were considered the biggest band
since the Beatles.
UK. Since
Yes,
the Beatles.
exactly.
They were a phenomenon.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that's what was so surprising to me, because here they were just like, oh, they're one of many 90s rock bands in my head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think it's nice, after I met Nick, because I was very much, on the level of most other Americans and what they knew about Oasis.
Which is Wonderwall and Champagne
I liked
Supernova.
Wonderwall. I really didn't like Champagne Supernova. And I had found Don't Look Back in Anger and a few other songs when I was in college.
Right.
And so I had this little tiny repertoire of half a dozen songs that I listened to. But then when I met Nick, and he was pulling out all these other hits that were really hits in the UK, the band became a lot more interesting to me, and understanding how big they got in the UK kind of dawned on me.
And I think a lot of Americans too think of the Beatles, or think of Oasis as a B-side Beatles. They're not as big as the Beatles, but if you go to the OK, you're going to probably have a big conversation with British people who will argue against that.
Huh. Interesting.
I actually resisted getting into Oasis as a teen because of how many people told me they were like the Beatles, and I was like, this is not like the Beatles at all, and I was so like revolted by the
and I think that's
comparison.
Pretty common.
Yeah.
I think a lot of Beatle fans think that way.
We sure do.
Especially American Beatle fans.
Okay. Now that I know they're from the UK, I kind of can like listen back in my head some of the songs and thinking, for some reason I felt like the lyrics kind of explained to me that they were from a cold place. I don't know, like Minnesota, because that's really where I thought they were from, and I didn't know.
Champagne Supernova.
Oh, geez.
A Nova.
Don't you know?
Well, and the sound is very British.
Yeah.
The sound they brought was definitely. I think they were labeled as an indie band in Britain, but over here they were Britpop. They're British pop. Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's such thing as a Britpop group.
There's everything pop.
Pop pop.
You can stick anything in front of pop and it
Work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Do you have another historical question? Because I do want to talk about some of their big albums and successes.
So, history kind of wise, if they're from the 90s, are they still together? Like, are these brothers like, skipping down the lane together as they're popular and stuff?
Fast forwarded straight to the end there.
Well,
Oasis broke up, I guess, 2009.
Yeah.
okay.
And to really know the history of the band, you have to know Liam and Noel Gallagher. They are brothers. Noel's the older one. He's 5 years older. And they are rock stars to the highest level you will think of, and they want to live rock and roll and live it to the fullest.
Ooh.
And also beat each other to death.
So what was their first album?
Their first album was definitely Maybe.
Oh, right.
Came out in 1994. So the band formed in 1991. They got signed in 1993. And then when Definitely Maybe came out, it was released and entered the #1 chart in the UK within a week of its release, and was the fastest selling debut album in UK history.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of incredible.
And Supersonic is from that album, is that right?
Yeah, Supersonic was their first single they released, and the band has a lot of drama. You could do a whole other conversation of just them. Mm-hmm. They were going to have a different single to release, bring it on down. But they changed it to Supersonic because Liam had no faith in their drummer, Tony.
Oh.
And
he even bluntly said that.
It was Noel who had no faith in the
Noel,
drummer.
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Noel had no faith in the drummer.
Well, and while they were recording Definitely Maybe, I think his fears about the drummer's talent, were pretty much cemented. So Supersonic was actually written, Noel said, in the space it takes 6 guys to eat Chinese takeout. He literally at 3 a.m. goes back in the back somewhere while the band and the techs are eating food and just writes out Supersonic and is like, this is the song, and they record it.
Whoa.
Wow.
So they're on like this, we haven't slept, nothing on this album's working, they're all high on drugs. So he goes and he just pins this song in nothing.
And it was 31st on the charts. So the first song ever put out to the public jumped to 31.
Wow.
But that's not their most famous album.
No.
Which one is that?
Their most famous, I would say, is What's the Story, Morning Glory. That came out in 1995.
What songs are on that one?
Don't Look Back in Anger, What's the Story, Morning Glory's on there, and Wonderwall.
Mm-hmm. And that was #2.
Yeah.
And that was really the height of Oasis, was that second album. I mean, they went on to stay together until 2009. So obviously they were still making hits. They still had lots of fans, but their big heyday was in the mid 90s after What's the Story, Morning Glory came out, because it made it huge worldwide.
Okay.
Right.
Now, are the guys still alive, or are they still...
Oh, yeah, they're still alive and active.
And there were some band member changes, too, that went on.
Because I'm guessing so with the drama.
Mostly drummers.
Oh.
Yeah.
There were a lot of drummer changes because Noel...
All those Pete Bests.
Yeah.
What?
That's the Beatles.
Yeah. Both of the Gallagher brothers were temperamental in their own way. And one of the ways Noel is that he was obsessed with perfection, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
He wanted everything to be perfect. He had a hard time letting go of anything. No one wrote a single Oasis song except for him until 2000 when he finally let other people write.
Wow.
So that was like 9 years of being a control freak.
Yeah, well, just about.
Yeah.
So he was a little tight-fisted with stuff. And the one thing he would always say is that even a monkey can be a drummer. You know,
Wow.
He would say, all you have to do is have, like, all you're doing is banging things together. What kind of talent do you need? So which blows my mind. Because if you ever
drum?
I don't think so.
Then how can he say something like that? Because he can't drum?
Because that's who he is. He is brash and his opinions are strong and they drive everyone away. That was Noel. Liam.
We don't want to drive Rachel away quite yet, so let's talk about some of the
good things.
Yeah.
So how many albums were there?
There's 7 albums, but then they had many compilation B-sides.
So that can sometimes add a couple.
Yeah, depends on how you look at it.
Okay, gotcha.
7 main albums.
Mm-hmm. So kind of going back a little bit to the drummer situation, that Noel just had some emotional responses and tend to have the emotional response of anger, I guess.
Definitely had some anger issues, same with Liam, but I think just he wanted to control the sound and as much as possible, and I think if the drummer was not on tempo or tight, he did not agree, didn't want it.
So my question is, like, Live Forever, that one song that's on the playlist that you created, which album is that one in create?
That's on Definitely Maybe.
And is that the first one?
That's the first one.
Which is super interesting, because when I listened to the song, I took away that I love the drumming, and I wasn't so sure about the lyrics. So it's just like, oh, okay. Interesting that
I think
Noel had those issues with drumming.
Well, I think a lot of the songs that Noel crafted, he made sure to craft for the band members of that
time period.
Of that time period, because I know he also wrote music so that Bonehead and Gwigsy were kept to like very simple rhythms with guitar and bass. It was more about developing the sound as a whole and featuring the lyrics. I feel like that was more important to him. But eventually, once they got bigger and Noel was writing more, especially once he really got into his like big writing phase after the second album, I think he kind of was ready to let his friend go, because him and Tony and Liam and all those guys had grown up together.
Interesting.
So, but
and
they let him go.
They had a very like successful career, lots of awards, lots of best-selling albums. Yeah, in terms of like speed of selling albums and numbers of albums sold, they broke a lot of records.
They did, and pretty much every album they released was number 1 in the UK.
I think they have like a streak of most number ones.
In the UK?
Hits.
Yeah, in the UK.
They were very big.
Wow, cool.
A lot of awards. They definitely didn't always appreciate for what the awards were, but
really,
they're rock stars.
They're rock stars.
Do you have any wild stories?
There are a lot of wild stories when it comes to Oasis. So I don't know if I could pick just one. There's one where they, I think it was during Definitely Maybe, they were on a ferry going to Amsterdam, and they ended up getting high on drugs and alcohol, and ended up getting arrested for a brawl, being deported back.
Can they go back to the
They've been kicked out of so many hotels
and countries?
I don't know about countries,
Well,
but
deportation is kicking out of the country. So I wouldn't put that as, yay.
Their first live show in the United States was at Whiskey A Go-Go, which I think was in LA, which is like one of the biggest clubs there. They had accidentally done crystal meth. They thought it was cocaine, but they all did crystal meth and ended up staying up all night. None of them got any sleep. So then they went on and performed probably one of the worst shows of their life. And it made Noel so mad. He took $700 from their band manager and disappeared.
Where did he go?
And they had no idea until the band manager had the brilliant idea of looking at his phone log, and he had called a girl he had met in the last city they had played at, San Francisco, and he was staying with her because he just could not deal with how awful everyone had been. And Liam kept doing crystal meth on stage.
What?
On stage?
He kept going back and snorting lines of it.
Wait,
in
isn't
between.
that cocaine?
He was snorting
I don't
crystal
know about
meth.
drugs, apparently.
But
At all.
Drugs, Rachel.
That is where he wrote a song called...
Sorry. What?
Oh, yeah. Well,
Anyway, Liam would still go to the back and snort crystal meth in between each song. So Noel couldn't take it, had flown to San Francisco, staying with a girl he met at their San Francisco, on their San Francisco tour. And that's when he wrote the song Talk Tonight, which I don't think was on your playlist.
I don't think so.
Honestly, there were so many songs we had to cut.
Yeah. Well,
really?
the original playlist that you gave me was like 2.5 hours long, and I was like, "Hey guys, Rachel's not going to listen to this."
I know there's just so many because they put out so many.
so that was one of the songs
Albums.
that was missing.
Yeah.
Yes, and it really is. If you listen to it, it is definitely a more emotional and softer side of Noel than a lot of the other songs you hear.
Really? I would
Because
actually
of his,
like that.
his frustration at what had happened. You know, they were getting huge, breaking out in America, which is like, that's it for any band that's not an American band, being able to
Once you break into that.
break into America.
So, and he just didn't want to ruin it and give their lives to drugs. He wanted them to be able to actually do this
Noel did a
American
lot of
thing.
drugs too.
Oh, okay. So
He did a lot of drugs, but Liam, I feel
more?
like Noel was more like a stoner kind of guy, and Liam went crazy when it came to the drugs. But they both did, and they both were unapologetic about how many drugs they did. It got them into a lot of trouble with the British press and the British people.
And yet they were still adored musically.
Okay. Well,
I think because they also were very fan driven. So, like how Nick had said, they didn't appreciate the awards they got. They appreciated every fan voted award that they got. They would dedicate things to their fans. Like that was, when you talk to, like when they talk in interviews, that's the number one reason they like doing what they do, is to hear your lyrics sung back to you by fans who...
The appreciation.
Yeah.
Not the
corporation.
not the
Yeah,
corporation
kind of,
approval.
awards.
They had a very punky attitude when
Sounds
it came to music.
Well,
and
that's very 1990s.
and their lifestyle, you know, they messed up pretty much every hotel room they stayed in, and they were wild.
Kicked out of hotels, kicked out of airlines. They were on the press. They were a duo to be reckoned with.
So did they still wreck hotels and...
Yeah, I am curious what's happened since the breakup.
Since their breakup, they both went their separate ways. Noel, for the longest time, refused to even talk to Liam. Noel went in to create a band called Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. And Liam had a band, Beady Eye. And they kind of were competitive that they released both of their debut albums close to each other. So who could outperform the other? So they're the rivalry that they've always had growing up. And then Liam, BDI broke up, and then now he's doing his own solo stuff, and Noel is still doing his. They don't really talk to each other anymore.
That's sad.
Kind of had that falling out, and I think they're probably more cordial now.
Okay.
Time has passed.
Yeah.
But they're brothers.
They're still not like jamming together though.
No.
Okay, so they don't do any reunion tours.
No reunion tours, even though like I feel like every once in a while it gets brought up, particularly by the British press or radio station, like when they're interviewing Noel Gallagher or Liam Gallagher when their band has an album or a single coming out. That is always a question that is asked, and they are both so non-committal about each other and anything. I mean, they'll be old and gray by the time they sing together on stage again, I think.
I hope they work it out.
I hope so too.
So,
Brothers got a hug.
we know that Nick likes Oasis, but Rachel, I want to know what you thought about Oasis. Could we talk about just a few of the songs, ones you liked, ones you didn't like?
Well, I think this is something that's I realized throughout the week as I was listening, that it's taken till season 4 to this episode for me to actually get to the point and make a decision if I like a song or dislike a song. There was no middle ground, which was, as I'm learning music, what I do like, what other people are telling me to like or whatever. Well, I'm not listening to them anyways, but I was able to make an actual decision if I liked and disliked them. So dislike, sorry, I don't like Supernova.
I am not surprised.
Supersonic.
Oh, okay.
Or whatever. Yeah, Supersonic.
Yeah.
Supersonic is different than Supersonic.
Why did you not like Supersonic?
It sounds like Nirvana. I don't like Nirvana.
Well, and it's kind of funny because Noel is actually a fan of Nirvana.
Yeah. And Nirvana is pretty new at this point, right? Like they're definitely influencing since the early 90s.
But what is funny is the other song on there, Live Forever, is actually a song he had that was actually kind of a counter to Nirvana. Because as much as he liked Nirvana, that song was the opposite of Nirvana, because Nirvana had a song called I Hate Myself and Want to Die. Noel believed kids should not be listening to this type of stuff.
Thank you, Noel.
Rachel's like, I don't want to listen to it.
I don't
either. I agree with you, Noel.
So they were...
Vote for Noel.
Because I was looking...
President 2020.
Oasis is not grunge. Like,
No.
they are not...
No, they're not.
They're not
They're
stylistically the same.
But I wouldn't call them Brit pop, because there's not the happy pop to it.
The first album...
The first album's different. It's definitely more punk. It's more rock.
More of a statement. I want to say something. You've given me a mic. Let's go for it. This is what I'm going to say.
Harder.
Yes.
So, Sunday Morning Call.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I don't like this song, but the part I definitely don't like is, so I was listening to it mainly with my headphones, and I would hear this UFO sound. And I'm not joking, totally UFO. I've never seen one, but if I had, this is what it would sound like. And I'm not sure. It would go from my left ear, go into my right ear, back to my left, and I'm like, whoa, what instrument is that, and what is that, and was that supposed to be there?
You're probably talking about in the beginning of the song, you kind of like a wave kind of sound.
Yes.
And that is likely just a guitar.
Highly distorted.
Highly distorted, which one of their Oasis's influential bands they had is Jimi Hendrix.
Which you know about.
I do.
So,
he did that patriotic song.
Right, that has a lot of distortion, right?
Yes.
So
And that's
when
why
you
I
hear
like
something that sounds weird on a professional album like this, it's intentional.
It's sound mixing.
Yeah, this is a choice that they're making.
And Sunday Morning Call was part of the album Standing on the Shoulders of Giants, which was their most experimental album. So they're kind of distorting a lot of different sounds.
Right.
Well, I didn't like it. It was in my dislike.
That's fair.
I also want to mention that when you record in, I believe, stereo, right, they can choose which speaker, right,
Yeah.
sounds come out of, right?
Yes.
So in that mixing. And so when you're wearing earbuds, the sound is going to feel like it's traveling from one side to the other if they are mixing it in that way. Okay. And lots of bands, rock bands, have played with that. Yes. This isn't the first time we've even heard this on our show.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I just didn't like it. So, yeah.
Okay. One more dislike.
Master Plan. I didn't like Master Plan. It had a weird start, and then also, it was like sort of scream, but sort of not, but really was screaming, and I didn't like the screaming. So, yeah, that's why it landed in the dislike pile.
Yeah. Nick, do you consider that screaming?
I don't consider that screaming since I listen to scream music and not close, but...
See, I'm more of like classical instrumental piano.
And that's actually, Master Plan's a B-side, so it never made an official album.
So why did you choose that song for this playlist? What about it made you go?
I just think the lyrics are really good in it, and it's highly influential for the Beatles.
Huh.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
And it was also because their third album, Be Here Now, wasn't very good it wasn't as good as people expected it to be.
That was the one that came out in 97?
Yeah. It kind of got lackluster reviews from critics. And then they later, after that, released the Master Plan, which is is that the B-side to What's the Story, Morning Glory? I think, or during that time at least, in Oasis. And Noel even admits that the B-side songs on that album are better than Be Here Now. Because Be Here Now was them, like, kind of having a music high off of how successful they were. When they did Be Here Now, they thought they could do whatever they wanted because they had become
superstars,
so famous. So a lot of their songs are kind of bloated and overproduced, drawn out. So I think in hindsight, Noel says, the B-side album they put out was better than Be Here Now.
Gotcha.
So what did you like?
Ooh, I liked a lot.
Good.
I am super happy about that.
Yay. Pick a few.
I will say my favorite for last.
Okay.
Because that's always the nice thing to do. Champagne Supernova. I really like that. I wanted to pick up my guitar.
Do you guys... So Champagne Supernova being one of the most famous songs by Oasis. Do you have any fun facts about that might add to our appreciation?
It was their first big hit in America.
Cool.
Yeah.
And it's lyrically it's odd. It just sounds weird.
I like the lyrics.
But what is neat is, a lot of people ask what it means and what it is, and there's a quote that, you tell me what we've heard, you've got 60,000 people singing it, they don't know what it means something different for every one of them. And it just kind of shows that not songs have to mean something, it means to whoever at any time.
I like that. I think it's cool when you can take a song and it means something to you and it doesn't have to mean the exact same thing to somebody else. Because that means you can enjoy the music more personally instead of having to follow a prescribed interpretation.
Yes, and I feel like that's a lot of what Oasis encouraged me to do. Where I had some other bands that we've done in previous seasons that, I've got to do 1 + 1 = 2. No. If 1 + 1 = 11, that's okay, and we're gonna just rock on.
A lot of their songs are very bits and pieces of experience and life, or in between bandmates. It's for them to know. Nobody else will know but them.
Yeah, a lot of their songs are however you want to interpret it. And Noel says, for Champagne Supernova specifically, but for a lot of their other songs too, that it means something different to him depending on what mood he's in when you ask him. But he'll pull out lines and explain lines, but he doesn't really explain the overall arc of songs.
Yeah.
So talking about the landslide lyric in Champagne Supernova, he says that's the feeling of suffocating and being buried by too much going on around you. But that's not what the whole song's about. But they do the same thing. It's there's lyrics that make no sense, that were just written nonsensically because they fit, because they sounded good. And then there's other lines in their songs that has really personal meaning to them. And that's pretty much all their songs.
Cool. I like that. Little by Little, I think it was a great, cool song.
Okay.
I feel cool because I was listening to it. And that's when I got online and ordered my mom jeans from 1990.
Did you really order?
I did. They're super cute. I just got them a couple days ago. They came with 2-day shipping.
Okay.
Now, whenever I listen to that song, I will think of my mom jeans. Or whenever I wear my mom jeans, I will think of that song.
Excellent.
And I think it's fun when you have a connection to a song.
Yes.
Any kind of memory or positive thing that's going to help you enjoy that song and that band more.
Mm-hmm.
At least, I mean, Jenny, I don't know if for you, you know, Rachel and Jenny and I went to high school together.
Yeah.
And to me, a lot of these songs bring up certain places or people we knew in bands or parties or whatever, these little kind of snippets of memories, right? And so when you hear that song, it's not just, oh, here's a song and I'm listening to it, but it's a memory, it's a feeling, it's a relationship, it's a place. And you bring all those things together and you add that personal meaning to it, and now you have something that you can really hold on to.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's also why I like Don't Go Away. It's kind of interesting that you said that the artist, he had a different meaning or anything, but I felt like out of all the songs that I listened to on the playlist, that song allowed me to understand him the most.
Can you explain why?
He just, with the lyrics, I really liked the lyrics. And when you say forever and a day, like things caught in my mind, some of those lyrics just really allowed me to enter in, and it was like an invitation. I thought that was really cool that the artist did that, and I like that.
And Don't Go Away is actually my all-time favorite song ever.
I'm so
and
happy.
I think it's very visual.
Exactly, and I think that's why I really felt like I could see why the artist wrote what he did and the lyrics that he did and placed the lyrics in this way or things like that.
I think that's a really good segue, Rachel, for you to ask Nick a little bit about his connection with the band.
Yeah, so you got into this band in middle school, you mentioned. You held on to them throughout high school, probably in a little bit in college. Oh, wait, you're married, and congratulations, Jenny, you're about to have your first child. That's awesome.
So are you going to name him Noah or Liam?
You'll see when he makes his debut in July.
Definitely maybe.
Definitely maybe. So I have a quick question. So you know how sometimes songs, exactly what Allison was saying, they can bring you back to high school. Is there one of the songs, not any, you can't pick tons, but one song that you want to give to your future son as a gift? Like, this is the song I want to give to him.
That's, I don't know. Like I said, my favorite song is Don't Go Away, but I think it's just a great song. I would love to pass on, or even Wonderwall, because it's very pretty to play on the guitar. And at any time, some of my friends can play it, and everybody knows that song, and everybody sings it. So it's a great, I think, a good song to learn on the guitar.
That's a great
and relationship building, like when everybody's like, when somebody gets out a guitar and everybody's sitting around and we're all singing Wonderwall or whatever. That's
and it's so classic 90s high school for us too.
It's kind of the song of the 90s.
That's really cool. Well, I hope you do give this song to him, because that'd be really fun.
I'm sorry, Rachel, before we conclude, what was your all-time favorite song? Because
some might say, like, I love this song to a point where I put it on repeat, and I think I heard it on the max 8, maybe 9 times in a row.
Whoa, seriously?
Seriously.
Okay.
Like 1990s, seriously.
Can you tell me why?
The guitar sound, I felt like this song really felt like summer. And with it being the beginning of summer, I was like...
As of now.
Yeah, as of right now, when we're recording. I just like rock on. I just enjoyed it. It just brought a smile to my face, and I felt cool listening to it. So I really like that song a lot.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you had a good experience. Are you ready to rate Oasis?
I am.
Okay,
Come on,
so
Allison, bring
on a
it.
scale of one being little by little you're going to rip it up and throw it in the garbage, and 10 being don't go away, Oasis, stay with me in my ears forever, live forever. Just on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you going to rate your likelihood of re-listenability?
9.
Whoa!
I think that's pretty good. I don't think I've given
that's
any
like you're
9.
saying it's like 1 point less than the best.
I know.
That's also more than the Beatles, which is like very upsetting.
Yeah, she does compare the artists we do to the Beatles rating of 7.5.
I like the Beatles, but I don't love the Beatles like I do Oasis.
It's okay. All right.
Like Oasis.
This is what we learned today, that Rachel likes Oasis more than the Beatles.
Sorry, I do.
Okay. Hey, Jenny, Nick, thanks for sharing.
Sure.
I'm so glad you guys are here. Super fun.
Thanks for
Super
having us.
Nova fun. Yeah. Supersonic.
Oh,
Okay.
oh.
I'm
Leave
sorry.
the puns to me.
Okay.
Okay, if you, our audience, want to follow along with Rachel's story, would you please like Facebook and Twitter and the podcast and rate, subscribe.
And now YouTube.
And YouTube.
Woohoo!
Let's get more than 1 subscriber on
Yes,
YouTube.
please.
And of course on Spotify. You can subscribe to this playlist and all of them by searching for Spotify /music/musictionist. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks so much and have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.